Are you struggling to understand your business numbers? Are you wanting to take your business to the next level? Well, each week here on the Local Small Business Coach podcast, we dive into your business to help you not only understand the business numbers that matter, but we will discuss how to use them to increase your profits. Hi, I'm Tammy, and I'm on a mission to help our badass local business owners take their business to the next level. So if you're a badass or a badass in the making, let's get this party started. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to the show. Today is Thursday. It's Know Your Numbers Day. And since the other day I talked about employees, let's kind of stick to that theme. I want to talk about a number you need to know, and that is the cost of your employee. For example, a lot of times what I notice with people is that when they think of their employee, they're like, I got an employee, they're $10 an hour. Okay, but is that the cost of you having that employee? Because if you factor in when you are looking at your numbers of how much your employee costs you more than $10 an hour. And it's important that you understand that number. Now, their labor hour might be $10, but their total cost as an employee is typically more than that. So let's kind of look at how you can look at that and you can understand what the true cost of your employee is. Well, one of the things you have to do is you have to have insurance on this employee, right? You got workers' comp and you've got the different insurance because you've got them, but typically it's going to be workers' comp. Well, you need to look at what you're paying for your workers' comp. There is a number that's assigned for that employee that you're going to be paying. Now, depending upon how your workers' comp is set up, it might be a monthly number that you're paying for that employee. It could be a quarterly, it could be a yearly. What you want to do is you want to figure out how much is that employee costing you for the month, and then divide that by the number of hours that they're working for you. A lot of times the person who's doing your insurance will ask you about how many hours they will be typically, are they part-time, are they full-time or whatever. And you need to find out that when you take their hours and you divide it all out, you might discover that it's additional 25 cents an hour that you're paying for you to have that employee. So now we know our $10 an hour employee is really $10.25. But we're still not done because you also have to pay part of their taxes and you've got payroll expenses. Once again, if you use a payroll service, you're going to have something that comes back from that payroll service that tells you how much money on those paychecks that you're paying for the employee when it comes to their taxes and their overall payroll expense. So you're going to have probably two different lines. One's going to be payroll taxes, same thing, divided out by the number of hours that they're working. Let's just say it's another 25 cents, just because I'm trying to go with easy math. Do not use these numbers because they can be completely off. All right. So when you throw in their taxes, that's an additional 25 cents. So now our employee is up to $10.50. Now we're going to have, if you have a payroll service, you're going to pay $30 a month or whatever it is that you pay, but you're going to have to divide that by all the employees and the hours and stuff of what's going on. So you have an idea. Let's just say it's a nickel. It's probably less than that, but we'll just say it's a nickel. So now we've got the $10 plus the 25 cents plus the 25 cents plus the nickel. We're at to $10.55 an hour from a payroll standpoint of what you're paying on them. So now when you're looking at it, so if let's just say you do a job for $15, your cost of goods are $15 and your employee is $10. Well, your $15 job minus your cost of goods of $5 leaves you $10. You pay them $10. You're thinking, I'm break even. Well, one, we already know that's not right because we still have the expenses of the business to take out. But let's put that aside for a second. But just for covering cost of goods and payroll expenses, we've just learned that that's not true because you have this additional 55 cents sitting off to the side for the additional cost of having that employee. So a lot of times when you are doing your bidding and you're looking at different things, one of the things you want to do is consider the total cost of that employee, because that employee isn't really $10 an hour. You might just start putting in there that it's $10.50, not necessarily saying share this with the person you're doing the bid, but when you are behind the scenes and you're doing out your bid and you're looking at your costs associated with that, then you need to remember that you're really looking at 1055 for that employee. You're not just looking at 10. And this is where one of those gaps that I see when people are, when we sit down and we start looking at their numbers and they're like, wow, having these employees has really cut into my profitability. A, that's true. It's going to, because it's not you doing it, so you're not pocketing that money. But two, sometimes it's bigger than what you think it is, and it's that surprise, and you can't quite put your thumb on it, why it is that you do not have as much money as you thought, because you've been using that $10 an hour, and you're like, wow, this does not make sense. I still keep coming out short. You make sure you're totaling in the entire per hour that this person is costing you when you add in their taxes, their insurance, and the payroll costs associated with them. Now, with that said, I just want to make sure you understand that you probably have some other costs associated with your employees. Now, you don't need to roll it into that same number, but it is something for you to keep in mind. For example, every time you hire a new person, there is costs associated with training them. All right. Because what happens is whenever we train a new employee, we are having them be a hitchhiker, if you will, on the job, which sometimes will slow down the job because another employee has to teach them or show them how to do something. So it takes a little bit longer. So there are some costs associated with having that new hire. It could be that you have to give them books. It could be that you pay them to sit at a computer. It could be that they have uniforms that you have to purchase for them. There's all kinds of things associated with them. Most companies do a much better job on their turnover because the pain of the costs of hiring them and training them is so great. So, for example, when I worked at Home Depot, I used to always look at every employee that it was $7,000, give or take, for me to get that employee up to speed. So it was very motivating when I would share that information with my team to say, look, so every person you bring aboard, you want to say you're making an investment in them, because you are. You're not just investing in them the hourly wage that you're giving them. You're investing not only the total payroll costs, but you're also investing all of this other stuff when it comes to training and developing and the uniforms and everything else that you give them. So if you really looked at it that way, one, you would get more out of your investment, and two, you wouldn't be so quick to get rid of them. That's one of the challenges that I think a lot of times people are like, I just need to get rid of them. Once again, I brought this up in the last episode. You need to make sure that you train your people, you have clear expectations, and you hold them to those expectations. And you want to do that because you've already invested so much money in them to get them trained and to be part of your team. So I'm not saying hold on to dead weight, people that shouldn't be there, bad attitudes and all that. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is you need to make sure you understand all the costs associated with you bringing aboard a new employee and making sure that you're getting the return out of that investment. Everything is about your ROI, that return on the investment, but you got to understand what goes into it. And two, you've got to understand how much you are paying truly per hour for each of those employees, which is what we started off with when it comes to their wages, the insurance, the taxes, the payroll expenses, all of those things. What's their true hourly wage? It's based off of all of that information put together. So that is your little nugget for knowing your business numbers. And I want to challenge you that if you have employees, do you even know those numbers? And if you don't, dive in and try to see if you can understand them. All right, with that, I am out of here, and I will talk to you guys on the next episode. Go be a badass. Bye. Okay, badass business owner, don't you think it is time that you learn how to read your profit and loss income statement? Now, I know you don't have time. I know you hate numbers. I know you're afraid of what you're going to find. But it is time to suck it up, buttercup, and learn to read and understand the most important report in your business. Your profit and loss income statement shows you the flow of money in and out of your business. Don't you think it's time that you started to pay attention? Now get your free, quick guide on how to read your profit and loss income statement at profitandlossguide.com, or just click the show notes. There's a link in there for you. What are you waiting for? You're a badass business owner, aren't you?